systems are offline.
You're listening to Wrestling Bashtalk with your host.
Ed
and Gus.
All right. And we are here in another episode of Wrestling
Bashtalk.
That's right, Ed. How are we doing?
Very, very well.
How you doing, Ed?
I'm doing very well.
All right. We just finished watching SmackDown, and it was intense. It was fun. It was not what we expected. We didn't expect what we saw, what we heard. There's so much to talk about. Let's start off with Bayley. Ed, talk to me about Bayley. Did you expect what was going to happen with Bayley? Even though I did expect it, because I told you that this was going to happen in our last show. I said this is going to be interesting, and it would be more interesting if the girls turned their back on Bayley. Didn't I say that?
Yes, you did. I knew this was going to happen, but I thought Bayley would turn on them. But you called it. You said that Damage Control would turn on Bayley.
I sure did. I mean, it was for me. I was just seeing how things were turning out due to injuries and everything else that went around Royal Rumble, and I was like, wouldn't it be interesting creatively if they did something where Bayley goes on her own, seeing as how she does deserve it, and you mentioned that she does deserve being on her own, and I noticed that she really didn't click with all these Japanese girls.
Yeah, now the question is Dakota going to stay with the three girls, or is Dakota going to go with Bayley? Because she wasn't there.
Yeah, that question is interesting, and I'm guessing we're going to see in the next show what's going to happen. And why wasn't she there? That's what I want to know. Where was she, and why wasn't she there?
Well, she's still not clear. She still has that knee injury.
That's right. She is injured. But nevertheless, Bayley announced who she was going to face. And Ed, can you do us the honor of letting us know?
Io Sky.
Io Sky. Now, I think it's going to be interesting. I think that fight is one of the fights that people wanted to see.
Yes, so. I think so. And like I told you before, Bayley deserves this because she has not been active at WrestleMania, I believe, for the last 3 WrestleManias.
Right.
I mean, and then last year she was kind of like the host, I think, of night 2. So her getting in the ring and to fight Io is going to be a fabulous match. I think this is going to be a really, really good match.
I agree with that. With that being said, who do you think is going to face
Mommy?
Exactly. Who is going to face Mommy?
I can't wait for the Elimination Chamber of the Women's. That's going to be something that I'm going to watch because I'm assuming Nia Jax will be in there. I'm assuming Becky Lynch will be in there. Maybe we'll get Zoe in there, Stark. And, who knows? Bianca Blair, but it's going to be interesting. Who in the world will face Rhea Ripley?
Do you want me to call it? Would you like me to call it?
Yeah, I want to hear who you think will be.
You sure?
Yeah.
You positive?
I'm 100% positive.
Seeing as how circumstances have turned, which we're going to talk about right now, what happened with the man's title, there's just only one way to go. It just makes sense. Say it, Ed.
Nia?
It just makes sense.
I don't know.
I think so. It just makes sense.
Maybe.
And let's explain why. Now that we know who Bayley chose, let's talk about Cody. What happened with Cody? What happened with Roman? Did anybody expect what happened to happen? Wait a minute. I did. I called it. But the funny thing is, it was actually by accident. It wasn't intentionally. But just seeing their body language, that's what told me what was going to happen. And also my gut instinct of wishing something like this would happen, because I think many of us wished that something like this, because we were left with a sour taste and in blank of the last time we saw who comes out. And do you want to say Ed, or should I say it?
It was the People's Champion.
If you smell, that's right, The Rock comes out. But wait, The Rock did come out right after Cody had his face-to-face with Roman. And I loved what he said. He said he wants that title because that title was held by his father and by many others, including, go ahead and say it,
Bruno, and it was held by an enormous amount of Hall of Famers.
But right after he says that he wanted and that he is going to go for that title, he turns around and says, but not at WrestleMania. That was the one moment that I turned around to Ed and said, it's happening. Ed's face was like, nah. And out of nowhere, the most beautiful song comes out. It was just electrifying.
Goosebumps
Everywhere. It was just literally electrifying. That's just the word that you have to use in something like this. It was just electrifying.
But he left us. 2 of them looking at each other in the ring.
Yeah, and we, I mean, I was like, come on, not again. But hey, at least they got closer. The first time The Rock was over at the entrance at the ramp, on top of the ramp. Now he's in the ring with Roman face to face. What does this mean? Obviously, we know he's going to face Roman at WrestleMania, but there has to be more. And I'm sure next week we're going to get much, much more. Especially because right before The Rock showed up, Cody says to Roman, there's somebody who knows you very well and who wants to face you. And then that's when The Rock's music hits and everybody goes wild.
Yeah, I can't wait for this match. We've been waiting for a while for this match, and I think we're finally going to get it.
I think so too, Ed. But now, changing the news a little bit, let's talk about AEW for a bit. Did you hear that there was an announcement that Tony was supposed to make like 2 weeks ago or a week ago and didn't because of the whole allegations with Vince McMahon? They're saying that it's supposed to be the signing of Mercedes Moné, aka Sasha Banks. What do you think, Ed?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, what in the world does the WWE have to do with AEW's announcements? I have no idea. I think it's just an excuse to hold off and leave people tuning in every week because their ratings have been dropping down.
Well, let me cut you there, Ed. In a business standpoint, it's really hard if you're going to make an announcement to do something when something else is just the news. Everything that happened with Mr. McMahon is everywhere. Why would you announce something the same day or those days that everything was hot with Mr. McMahon's allegations? Nobody was going to pay attention. I don't think anybody would pay attention to a signing or whatever the news is because of that. So that would affect. Was it smart for them to not say anything? And they're going to announce it this Wednesday the 7th. Do you think that was a smart idea? Now do you understand why they did it?
Yeah, but it could have been a positive. It could have been a negative. It could have been a positive.
How so?
Because if you make an announcement and it's a major signing, people are going to tune in, and it's going to be a positive for the wrestling business in general, and it's going to put a shadow over the negativity.
Yes and no, because we're talking about Mr. Vince McMahon, Kennedy McMahon, and it's huge news. It's shocking news. I don't see your point. I don't.
Well, my point is this. If you're running a wrestling company and you're hearing the other wrestling company having bad news, you're going to take your wrestling company and you want to make good news. You want people to watch your wrestling company. So what you're going to do is you're going to announce good news. They're going to take their eyes and put it on your company.
Yeah, I mean, to a degree, I can see that, but also to a degree, how social media works, how TV works, is just how news works in general. Is just whatever is hot, which is always a negative, like what's going on with Mr. McMahon, especially being who he is gonna attract every single person out there who's a fan of wrestling. It's just what it is. And me, I'm talking about myself. I was all about that news. I was like, oh my God, what's going on? Oh my God, what is this real? Everybody was waiting for press conferences. Everybody was waiting for them to say something about it. His lawyers come out, etc., etc. So, but it's a good point, the point that you're making it.
Yeah, but then again, I can make this point also. If it's Mercedes, maybe not so much. Then I would hold out. But if it was announcing that Okada signed, then I would make it.
What are the possibilities of Okada actually showing up? I mean, we don't know who it is. We're speculating like everybody is. The speculation is that it is Mercedes, aka Sasha Banks, but we all know what's been going on with Okada, so it could be a surprise that it could be Okada. How will that help AEW? I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I've been familiar with Okada for a number of years, and Okada is like one of the best in the world. And he was like the guy in Japan for a long time. And he's the reason why Kenny Omega became a better wrestler, because when the wars they had in New Japan were fabulous. And I'm not a Kenny Omega fan, but those matches he had with Okada were like 5-star. And he makes anybody look very well, very good. So if he was announced to AEW, it would really raise the bar for them.
Right. And I know that there was a rumor that Okada was also mentioned going to TNA. I don't know how true that is. How would him going to TNA impact? We all know that TNA has been making a lot of changes, and for the good. It's a rebirth of TNA. I'm excited. I'm excited for TNA. Honestly, I think TNA right now is getting to be, they're in their best moment as you know, rebirth. I think they're in a great position right now. Better, and I'm going to say this. I think they're even better than AEW right now.
Oh, definitely. But the thing thing is, Okada is too big for TNA.
That's what I was thinking too.
I mean, if he signed with TNA, I think it would be a downgrade for him because he's such a big star. I mean, you could put Okada up there with Hogan and Rock and Stone Cold and Cody and CM Punk. That's how big his stardom is in New Japan.
Wow. How old is he?
I'm not sure how old he is.
Talking about everything that's been going on due to this whole mess that Mr. McMahon is in, another familiar face once again comes out in social media. This came out a few hours ago, and we're talking about none other than Mr. Ryback. Feed me more. That's right. Your favorite wrestler, Ed, Ryback. He came out on his...
Really?
Yes, really. He came out on his YouTube channel, which is Ryback TV, and he said a few words, and we're actually going to listen to what he said. You ready, Ed?
I guess I have no choice.
Yo, I'm the big guy, Ryback, and things just keep getting weirder in this WWE Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis sex trafficking scandal. If you're not familiar with what's going on, I highly suggest you Google Vince McMahon, Janelle Grant, and then read through all of that. It's absolutely insane, but not shocking to anybody, really. John Laurinaitis, who is the former head of talent relations in WWE and actually hired me on 2 different occasions, is also named in this suit. John Laurinaitis' attorney, Edward Brennan, denies the allegations for his client, John Laurinaitis, and they say that he is actually a victim of the predator, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Now, I'm not going to come on here and say that John Laurinaitis is a saint, but I believe that this is actually has some legs and that they are telling the truth in many ways. You see, Vince McMahon controls everything with the 48 laws of power and abuses anything and everything and everyone around him. John Laurinaitis was around him a lot. I've been telling you guys for many years, the house of cards are coming down, and it's only going to get way worse because now a lot more people are going to come out of the woodwork and a lot more people are going to start talking. And that's the last bite. Feed me more.
Well, Ed, what do you think about what your favorite wrestler, Ryback, had to say about this whole situation? Is he correct? Was he correct all along? Because we know that he has done videos before talking about the same situation. We know that right after he left WWE or got fired, he also claimed about situations that had happened. Nobody had believed him. What do you think about what he has to say now?
Well, first of all, the big guy sounds like a big moron, okay? This idiot goes on the radio and talks about how Vince McMahon is the evil. He's hated Vince McMahon ever since he got fired from the WWE back in 2016, okay? This guy is an idiot, okay? He's a beefy head moron, okay? He has nothing or no knowledge of what's going on other than what everyone reads and speculates, okay? And to go on his radio podcast and say that he knows a bunch of stuff that's going on, bullcrap. I call his bullshit.
Fair. I mean, that could be a fair assumption, but can you take the credit? Everything that's been going on, Ryback called it. He called what was going on. What we see right now, he said it was going to happen. He said what Mr. McMahon was up to. Or don't you agree?
You call what goes on? He called it? He's hate him from day one. From the moment he got fired. He talked bad about Vince. Okay? Before that, if you listen to what he says, he's very grateful for Vince. He praises Vince because Vince gave him the opportunity to let him do what he loves to do. So then the second he gets fired from Vince McMahon, he craps all over the man's name. And now all of a sudden he called what was going on. Come on, give me a break.
I think I agree with what you are saying to a degree, but at the same time, I think that Vince McMahon has crapped on his own name if all these allegations are true.
I'm not saying that Vince McMahon didn't crap on his own name, but who gives Ryback the right to take the credit for it?
Fair. That I can agree with you. That I cannot argue one bit. But I can see how much love you have for this man. I can see you're a big fan. I want to know, Ed, why so much hate towards Ryback?
Because he says stuff without thinking, and he thinks he knows everything that is about wrestling, and he doesn't. I mean, like when he said, "Oh, if CM Punk shows up at WWE, I'll retire from wrestling." ring. And then what does he say? No, I meant AEW. I mean, come on.
Fair. Now, in a wrestling standpoint, do you think Ryback is a good wrestler, an okay wrestler? Let's not talk about him and his scandals. We're talking about wrestling. Him as a wrestler. What do you think about Ryback?
Ex-CM Punk, how many times he got botched? Ex-John Cena, how many times he botched? Ex-Big Show, how many times he botched? He was a danger in the ring. He gave CM Punk a staph infection because he threw him on the table and he landed wrong. And all the moron said was, "Oh, I didn't know the table wasn't going to break." He didn't even apologize.
Do you think Ryback is more dangerous than Bill Goldberg?
Oh, definitely. At least Goldberg, first of all, Goldberg's matches didn't last more than 5 minutes. Correct. Secondly, Goldberg didn't get sloppy until he started getting old. And the only match that I really know that he really didn't go up to his par was that match that he faced Undertaker. Other than that, I never really saw him botch.
What about the whole situation with Bret Hart?
Well, that situation was a different situation. That was a mistake. Yeah, I could say that. But other than that, I really never saw him in a match. And remember, that wasn't a match. That was a backstage vignette.
Fair. But now changing to something positive. I don't know if you were aware, but Mick Foley, yes, the Mick Foley, one of our favorite wrestlers out there, made an announcement today in his podcast. Can you guess what that announcement was?
Please tell me it's not what you think it's going to be. Please.
It's not what you think, not what I think.
Yeah. what I don't think, please.
Well, I'm going to read you what he said. You ready for this, Ed?
Yeah.
All right. He said, "I'm going to do one final match for my 60th birthday, and it's going to be a death match. I'm not kidding. I think it would be a great incentive to drop those 100 big ones, and I think it might be fun." When he says 100 big ones, no, it's not 100,000 or 100 million or $100. No. It's 100. Yes, he wants to lose weight and he thinks that's the best way to lose weight. And he wants to have one last match. That's how he wants to finish his story, we can say. I mean, if he does have this last match, Ed, first of all, do you think it's a good idea for this man to get back in the ring, nevertheless being a death match? Out of all the matches, a death match? And the other question is, what name do you think he'll use to come into the ring? Would it be Cactus Jack, Mankind, or his first persona in WWE, Dude Love? Or will he be using just simply Mick Foley? Please, Ed, enlighten us.
Okay. I love Mick. I love Mick for a long time. I was a fan of him back when he was Cactus Jack in WCW and he was having feuds with Vader. And when he came to WWE and they changed him to Mankind, that was a great and awesome character. And then he came out with his whole story and then transformed into Dude Love. I loved it. And I loved Mick for a long time. But Mick has always been big. He's never been small. Maybe in his younger years he was fit and trim, but when he started getting towards the end of his career, Mick was big. He was not in shape at all, but he has a tremendous amount of stamina for his weight. But now he's going to be 60 years old, and he had, I don't know, maybe 10 to 12 knee surgeries. He's had 3 hip replacements. He's had a bad back. He's had elbow surgery, shoulder surgery. Just about his whole body is reconstructed. And he wants to have a death match?
Correct.
Is he out of his mind?
It is Mankind.
Well,
he is known for this.
That I understand, but can you remember his last match?
The only one that comes to mind, that would always come to mind, I think, for me at least, is the match that he had, that cage match with Undertaker. For me, that was one of his greatest matches.
Yeah, that is the greatest match, the greatest Hell in a Cell match that will ever go down in history. I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about his last and final match. Do you know what it was? It was in TNA.
Okay.
It was when he faced, I believe it was Kurt Angle. I think it was Kurt Angle or it was AJ Styles. I'm not 100% sure.
I think it was a base. If I remember correctly. But that match was in that.
Yeah, but he was beat down and he was huffing and puffing and.
Yeah, I can recall that. But he had him wrestled prior to that for a while too. So yeah.
Yeah, but he did a couple of matches in TNA.
Yeah,
and every match that he wrestled, I think he even got into the ring. I think it was an unsanctioned match, but he got in the ring with Ric Flair.
Right. But if the guy wants to end it this way, why not? It's
yeah, but you got to know when to say when.
My question is, who is going to allow this? Where would he wrestle? Would it be WWE? Would it be OVE where he's at got right now working? Would it be AEW? Would it be TNA?
Well,
Who
I'll
do
tell
you
you this.
think would allow this? And before you start, rumors are people will love to see this death match be against Moxley. What are your thoughts?
No. If it's against Moxley, Moxley will kill him.
But it'll be a hell of a match.
Moxley will kill him. I'm sorry. Moxley will kill him. Okay? Moxley will kill him. And if it's on the independents and it's against Brian Gage,
Oh no, that is no, that guy will kill him.
he'll kill him for real.
Yeah. I'd rather see him with Moxley than with. No, let's not go there. I don't. No.
I think if Mick wants to have this match, he needs to have this match with someone in his past, someone he's been friendly with in his past.
The only one that I know, and he's not here
And
no longer.
I'm not talking about Terry Funk. I'm talking about somebody that he was also close with Terry, and that's the Invader of Violence, Tommy Dreamer.
Wow, that would also be a great fight.
Because Tommy would take care of him.
Wow. Yeah.
Tommy would definitely take care of him. Mox is not going to take care of him.
Well, you don't know that for sure. I think he would, but not as Tommy. I mean, I agree with you. Now I'm envisioning this match.
Tommy will make sure that Mick does not get hurt in that match.
Right.
And Tommy wouldn't care if he wins or loses, as long as he protects Mick.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Whoever, whichever company says we'll do it.
But I'm going to tell you this: if it's not WWE, he's going to have to use the Mick Foley name.
Yeah, unless
because WWE owns the other three. WWE owns the other three.
Right. That we know of. Remember, the same thing happened with The Rock, and now he owns his name. And
The Rock is also on the board of directors.
Jeff Hardy owns his name and the Hardy Boys
that's
song.
their real names.
Correct, but they also own the song. Edge owns his own song, aka Adam. Obviously, he doesn't own the name because it stayed back. But
that song belongs to Alter Bridge.
Yeah, we know that. But I mean, usually songs and names stay with WWE. But
that's if they're made by Jeff Johnson or the other composer that's there now.
Right.
But if it's a actual song, it goes with the wrestler because you have to pay money to rent it. That's why Cult of Personality went to AEW.
Right. Well, we'll see. I mean, we'll be in the lookout on more news on this and when, where, how, and who.
I would personally do it in OVW because if anybody knows how to choreograph a hardcore match like this, a death match, would be Al Snow.
Yeah, but do you have the correct? What about Al Snow himself against Mick Foley?
Oh, Al Snow said he'd never get into the ring ever again.
But he did.
He's done.
Not that long ago, he did. It came out in the Netflix documentary.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like a full blown match.
But he did though. But so he might. This might be something special. I think that would be a good fight too. And once again, if it's not Al in OVW, I don't think nobody would know how to handle Mick Foley and how to take care of him.
Well, like I said, he needs somebody that's very close to him. And Al is close to him. Al is one of his best friends.
Yeah.
But I would do Tommy. Because the only reason why I say is Tommy, because Tommy is still an active wrestler,
Yeah.
And Tommy is close to his age. I mean, yeah, Tommy's 10 years younger.
Correct.
But he knows Mick. He grew up around Mick, you know.
Right.
He was a young buck coming up in ECW when Mick Foley was there.
Right. Well, whichever the case would be, we are going to be waiting for this news if it does come true. And part of me is excited. Part of me is not that excited and concerned, just like you are, Ed, because this man, this legend, could get really, really hurt, and we know what he is capable. We know what Mick Foley is capable because he goes all in. He puts it all. No matter what it is, he's going all in or nothing. And at his age, going all in, that is, really rough.
See, my concern mostly is what happened to Ric Flair in his final match. It was a sad, sad, sad thing to watch. I was very upset when I saw him. He was huffing and he was puffing and he looked like he was going to faint or drop dead in that ring. And Jeff Jarrett did whatever he can to carry him.
Right. And even Jeff Jarrett at his age, I was impressed by how he took that match, because Jeff Jarrett is not that young either. And he did okay for what it was. But yes, I agree 100% with what you say. But guys, unfortunately, we've reached our end. And we are excited to share all this news with everybody. Please share, like, and comment. We will see you guys next week.
Yeah, share, comment, and remember, listen to Bashtalk.
Bye-bye, guys.